Let's talk about a couple of global warming fallacies that come up. Faulty reasoning that, while it has a kernel of truth in it, really is misleading, and I want you to be aware of how it's misleading. Let's point some out. So, all energy comes from the sun. Climate is controlled by the sun. Therefore, it's all equally environmentally friendly. Um, that's not really true. So this is going to something that isn't quite related to climate change, but it is related to fossil fuels. It turns out that fossil fuels are made from dead stuff. Where did that dead stuff get its energy? Ultimately from photosynthesis that came from solar energy. So all energy, essentially at Earth's surface, even the fossil fuel stuff, comes from the sun. So it's just, some people will say it's just as good to burn fossil fuels as it is to use solar energy as a result, but they have other impacts too. So this is a fallacy for that reason, because of those other impacts. The sun has the greatest influence on climate, therefore humans are not responsible. That's a fallacy because it's not the only influence on climate, nor is it the one that's changing today. As we saw, solar radiation really isn't changing very much, especially over the past couple hundred years. So it's not reasonable to say that because the sun is the biggest impact, and it is, that it's the only thing that can change climate, because it's not. Another fallacy, the greenhouse effect is needed to keep Earth from freezing. That's true. Therefore, additional greenhouse warming is not bad. You can have too much of a good thing. You want to be where the climate is stable relative to where civilization has known it for the past few thousand years, probably, if you're used to growing crops in a certain way in a certain place. Warming it up, might be good for a couple of farmers in North Dakota, but if they have to feed a bunch more people because the tropics are no longer sustainable for growing crops, it's not such a good thing. Water causes most greenhouse warming. That's true. So CO2 doesn't matter. Once again, it's not causing all the warming, nor is it the thing that's changing. So just because water has more of an impact than carbon dioxide does directly, doesn't mean it doesn't matter, especially because we saw water is involved in positive feedbacks too, right? So if we cause a little bit of warming, we'll end up adding water vapor to the atmosphere, which causes even more warming. That's that positive feedback that works not so good for us. We have only 150 years of direct measurements. That's true. But then people will also state, well, that's a reason to not worry about climate change because we don't know what's happening. Also, they'll say that climate is always changing. Well, how do we know that? Well, because we're using the geologic record. We're going past those 150 years. We're reading ice cores to know this. So this is a fallacy just because it's sort of hiding where this information is coming from. Yes, climate is always changing. No, that doesn't mean we don't know anything about it, nor that we can't be having an impact now. CO2 is only 0.04% of the atmosphere. That's true, so it can't have an effect. Well, iron is only about 0.01% of your blood. If you lost all the iron in your blood, you'd suffocate immediately. So something small can have a big effect. Another way that I've heard people put it is that, if you got a brownie that was 0.04% dog poop, would you eat it? Another fallacy, just leaving you with that thought. Humans are too puny and it's hubris to think that we can affect climate. Well, just look at the world around you. I mean, how much of Earth's surface is covered in the effects of humans, right? Look at all of the land that we've devoted to agriculture. Now, that's not natural. That's not its natural state. Most of Earth's surface has in some way been affected by humans. So that we can't affect climate is pretty silly.